Exactly. Peace, human families of the planet Earth. You're now tuned in live with Super Heru Radio. I'm your host, Radio-Aseer. I hope all is well. Along with my co-host, who made it up to 10,000 years or more. We are my brother in a minute, and all of you. Thank you for tuning in once again. Amidst all of the different things that happen in the day that sometimes seem like trying to block you out or not allow you to do and accomplish the things that you wish to accomplish within a given day. Anytime you can at least accomplish one thing out of the things that you strive to do within a given day, you should be thankful. And we still give thanks for, because nothing is that easy anymore. Especially anything you're trying to accomplish without the aid of other people trying to sabotage what you're doing. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're at a stage now in our relationship with one another that we have to start to respect the fact that maybe now is the time when a lot of the things that we perceive as being real in terms of reality may be actually something else, or may be actually benefiting someone else other than us. And in that regard and in that respect, we have to, be able to be direct about what we see happening, Yet, part of the game is also having enough tact and proof to not necessarily put yourself out there, so make it seem like if you somehow were immediately affected or in some way were affected by what, one of these people buzzing around you may or may not be doing. But it doesn't change the fact that we're also at the crossroads in which all of the different earthly governments and governments of men are coming to realize that they are totally finite, and that the people of the world are no longer, or can no longer, sit by and feel that they and their responses being justified or adequately pursued, especially in a society that, again, feeds on its citizens, literally. You know what I mean? I can go on for days about all of the false flag stuff that they having to jump behind, but I told everybody on December, I believe it was on December 21st, 2012, I told you that it was going to be much harder for these people after this time period for them to flip stuff that they were trying to flip on everybody. And that people are going to start to not only reawaken to it, it's going to make it that much harder for them to perpetuate that these things that they're perceiving as, real events, it's going to be harder for them to pass them off as such. And it has been. As soon as something happened, as soon as this thing happened, everybody started referring to the Family Guy episode where he was there and he was killing everybody at the Boston Marathon. You know what I mean? That's an obvious trigger. But what's funny to me is when these Hollywood people who act like they not or have not been down with this thing from the beginning, act like they are surprised when people put two and two together. It's like the only people who can come up with a theory for anything are people who are sanctioned somehow by so-called governments to do that. Have you ever noticed that? Like the only people that they value opinion with is people who actually they have paid and trained. And then when you say, well, that's not necessarily accurate, or what about the obvious nepotism in this person's relationship with the bearer of the information? They want to dissuade that as if that has nothing to do with the overall outcome. So in that, they've made it almost like nepotism is like a normal thing in society. You know what I'm saying? So what we got to start to understand and do is break away and move away from anybody's perceived notion as to how we should be perceiving and obtaining our means and ends. The problem is Moors are always saying, well, if I do this, what is the white man going to do? Or what is this going to do? And not really affecting, well, if I do this, what is this going to do for what I ultimately want to do? Or how is this going to help me, erect this school or create this thing? See, if you try to create anything for the benefit of your people within the so-called strata of the United States government, that can only happen via a 14th Amendment citizenship. And you could just look on Media Takeout and see that there was a woman that got arrested, and she happened to be black, and they posted her thing on there, and they had her race listed as black. And when it says citizen, the citizenship, it said none. Do the nods to that. This is a black woman, a black American woman, pay her taxes and all that other type of shit, but they got her listed as not being a citizen of the United States. So if you're not a citizen of the United States, then how are you paying taxes to these people, black women? How are they locking you up for violations of their laws or whatever? You're not even a citizen of the case. When a Mexican that's not from here is caught here, don't they send his ass back? They don't force him to stay here and pay taxes and all of that type of shit. They don't do that. They let them people and deport them people right back to their country because they figure, well, if I can't rule over these people and they not supporting me, I'm not going to support them. And he's right, because he's the devil, and that's how you look at shit. Same thing with Puerto Rico. Well, Puerto Ricans don't have no say in how their country is voting and all of that. They act like they sovereign. They act like they free, but they not. They can't. They government. They can't even get the army off of their island. But Cuba, they can't put nothing on Cuba. They can't put no soldiers on Cuba, especially after the bad pigs fiasco. They can't do that to them. They can't put nothing in Haiti. But Cuba seemed like the only island. The only island that was following behind them was Grenada, and you see what they did with them. They invaded the whole nation. In an invasion that took like less than 40 minutes. They made a movie about it called, with Clint Eastwood, Heartbreak Ridge, in which Mario Van Peebles is playing the soldier that can't wait to get it into Grenada and kill some people. And there ain't nothing even happened yet. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole different strata, a whole different thing going on, and a lot of people don't have the eyes for it. So what we got to start to do is let people be blind if that's what they want, man, and just keep it moving. Stop getting so caught up in the aspect of striving to create a reality that itself is on its way out. You understand? As much as they trying to, hate on Moors, they not hating on all Moors. Not all Moors is having problems like that. There's a lot of Moors that's having great successes with the same federal government that will come down on other Moors, but they ain't coming down on these Moors. So what are these brothers doing that these other brothers ain't doing? Well, I tell you what is successful for me is not taking into account what anybody else is doing at this stage that's not coming to me in the manner of love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, which are the foundation or founding elements of an isonomy. But you don't even hear more use that term. The only more I heard use that in modern context besides me was T. Freeman Ill. T. Freeman Ill was so ahead of the game, he was on some whole other dugger where he didn't even really have no paper. He had no paperwork like that. He wasn't walking around with no Morris. He wasn't doing none of that. Half the stuff that these Moors was doing. He's a natural. You know when they say the natural? He was a natural, blessed to death. You know what I mean? People don't even want to talk to you about the Moors that's really doing stuff. People like Uriel Bey, blessed to death, Prince Uriel Bey. This Moor founded a kingdom that's still there. That he is now the spiritual founding father of. The talismanic kingdom of Altamorium, man. This is real talk. With real stuff behind it. Not now. But they won't even, most Moors don't even know about that. Look at Sheikh Turner Eel. These people were doing monumental things, man. In the time when black people, we were supposed to be the most uneducated. That's what's so baffling to me about shit sometimes when I be reading them. I'm like, these Moors was doing this in the teens, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and in the early 60s. What happened? How did it go from that to the fiasco with Jeff Gordon? I'm like, how did that happen? What are we not doing? What are we missing? Why is it that you seem you could get 1,000 more to support a sovereign situation, but you ask these people to stand up for their own too, for their own government, their own country? They don't want to do that. What is the schism? Where is it coming from? Why is it like that? Well, I was researching some group of Moors back in the days called the Riff Pirates. And in researching the Riff, it started to make me think about the warriors that had the Riff in it. And the Riff were the ones that were holding down everybody. They were also the ones dressed in the maroon. They were also the ones that was the biggest gang in the world in the 5 boroughs, which represent the 5 founding elements: love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to get equality in the movie, and they were led there by the sheik, who was the head of the warriors. But when he wound up getting killed in the movie, the white Freemason that was studying the beat under the sheik now was forced to basically lead them back. And the only one that could back him up was the other Moor with the big lips and the afro. I think it was Cochise, was bringing him through. So right after that, somehow the creator spun something else up, and Pirates of the Caribbean was on. And it was the one with Calypso, you know, the one with the black woman, and it got into the Order of the Brethren. You know what I'm saying? And it got into basically the Parliament of Pirates that basically dealt with how we was rocking the whole Barbary thing. Like, it wasn't like niggas got kicked out of Grenada and then it was like, oh, we just going to start bugging and start wilding and killing people. It wasn't like that. It was like after the Grenada thing, people were still there. There was still Moors there. It's just that after that capitulation came and they saw that the Moors was willing to work like that, that's when they wanted to just take more from them. So it just got to the point where by the time April Fools came around, they just lost all respect for the fact that we was actually letting them rock for a little while, the same way Salah ad-Din did for them in Jerusalem. But these savages, these dirty Moors, couldn't even expect that, and then basically started to kill and shoot and rape and cut our heads off and all that while we was trying to get out, then send arrows and stuff on our ships and burn them up because they know we was coming back to where we was really from, which is over here. You see what I'm saying? So when you start to research, you know, I'm researching that, and just so happens, like I said, they put the Riff Pirates on TV. So when I started reading about the Riff and started going into their history, I started to realize, oh, these are the Moors. One of the main Riff Moors was El Hadaji Tarajdi, who was basically one of the chiefs of he was an Ildo. And basically the whole issue started with Morocco being turned into a kingdom by 1957 because the Riff Pirates was the ones that was orchestrating the trade routes between the different areas of the old empire as it was now translating, based upon some of the agreements that Louis XVI was able to bring through. Louis XVI in history, in European history, you know what I mean, based upon their flawed dating system, they make you think it's a white person, but the real Louis XVI in the modern era was the Sultan Moulay Ismail, whose successor Al-Rashid took over, and then from there he was a part of a line called the Alawite or the Alawite Sultan, down through the Matabout line. So the Matabouts, again, that's the real Moors that studied the Guana. You know what I'm saying? Which is the magical or musical form of language that the Moors were still. Like these Moors were speaking a language called Maghreb. What was it called? Maghrebian Arabic, which again is a relation to true al-Islam, which again is that of the Moor. Yet, in again researching these people and their relationship with the emperor, like I'll read you something. This is about the Riff Pirates. The coast of the Riff is a portion of the seaboard of Morocco. So they're only saying that these rifts basically deal with a portion of it, so they're not telling you how deep they go. But we know Morocco is the quasi-perpetual state that exists wherever a Moor or Moorish dominion or Moor lives within whatever dominion he or she lives. All the famous for the piratical achievements of its inhabitants, who, though subjects of the emperor, only acknowledge him as their chief in a spiritual sense. It contains a dozen or so of the wretched villages where none but the people who dwell in them dare appear. So great is the terror inspired by these lawless brigands, the pirates most be feared are those occupying the villages of Azanium, right? That sounds like another version of a Mexam. Azanium, situated at the end of a small bay on the crown of a wooded hill, right? The sheiks, right? The sheiks of the tribe of Riffins or ruffians. This is where the term Riffin or ruffian comes from. So this gives you another perspective on the three ruffians that attacked Hiram. Gives you a whole different perspective on that too now. Are descendants of a race of the Guelia, right? And possess large numbers of boats well armed and appointed. It is these who sometime since attacked the Prussian flotilla commanded by Prince Albert of Prussia, and who at the various times had beaten off and disciplined European troops. The Emperor of Morocco at least saw the necessity of taking some measure to assert his authority over his defiant subjects, and accordingly he sent the Pasha of Tangiers, Ben Abu, at the head of an imposing force to collect the considerably overdue tribute that was levied to the people of the Rif. Ben Abu succeeded beyond his high hopes and returned to Adar Rahman laden with large sums of silver and gold. He was also fortunate enough to burn a number of their boats, checking for the time their lawless depredation by depriving them of the means of doing mischief. The head we have engraved is the portrait of one of the Moorish pirates taken prisoner by Ben Abu, and a pretty specimen he is. However, the depredation of pirates still continued, and the Spanish government at length resolved to strike a decisive blow against them. An expedition was fitted out for the purpose early in November, blah, blah, blah. The Emperor of Morocco has been appealed to by Spain for a satisfactory settlement of this difficulty, among others, and hopefully blood may yet be shed. So essentially what this basically means is that the Rif was basically doing their own thing. They made it seem like they was just brigands and pirates. But guess what? I also found a banknote from something called the State Bank of the Rif. And it had serial number and everything on it. And they had their own money. Their money was called the Rifan. And one Rifan was equal to 10 English shillings. Meaning that going into England, but one of these would get you 10 English silver coins. This is how much the Rif money was. They shit was 10-1 in Europe because they was riffing and taking all of that. So when we say we be riffing with one another, this is what this is. When they talk about riff, or when everybody would watch the old school cartoon Heathcliff, they had another cat that was with him named Riff Raff. And Riff Raff had a ship, like a car. And he had two other cats that worked for him, and he had the queen that used to roll with him in the front seat. And he used to walk with a two-ball cane. And he had like a sailor's hat that was like a big pimp Applejack hat and a blue ribbon around his neck. And we know the blue ribbon is reminiscent of the York right. And he ruled the junkyard. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there's a whole byproduct of Moorish history that you're on the cusp of getting right now that a lot of people have been really working for generations to keep from you. In regards to what they want to do to stop that from happening, it's not going to change the fact that this is going and has happened. So we have to start to become more in tune, I think, with the true current of the true information by allowing ourselves to open up our perception of what Moorish science is. Like I just told you, Louis XVI, they used to call him Louis Africanus of Morocco, but that was King Louis XVI. That's Moulay Ismail. That's the Moor. So, like I was telling people, you had your free national name, and then you had a name that was spoken of in the English court because those people wasn't even, or based on the privilege of circumstance, they wasn't even worthy to say your full righteous name. So you would have an English-sounding name that would act as a free national that you would be able to rock with, but you would always keep the ill or the bay to show your true allegiance to the original republic, the original government. So as much as they making it seem, see, think about this. If the Rif was like that and they was rocking shit like this, then how come whenever you see movies about pirates, you don't ever see them in no banks? You always see them raiding ships. You always see them burying treasure somewhere. You don't ever see them having their own bank and their own civil living. If these people had their own bank, that means they had their own actual district and dominion that they was rocking all this stuff through. So that means if they did that, then we need to re-examine what they talking when they actually say piratism, what that means. Because corporatism is a form of piratism, the corporate United States that these people is under. And being that they got most black people thinking like communists, they don't really understand that the government that they are partaking in is actually working against them. Actually, that's not true. They do understand it. They just don't want to do anything about it. They're not trying to change that. They're not trying to really stand on their own two to do that. And that's why this gatekeeper, this jail master, this warden of humanity has become such a malevolent tyrant. Because I think it's tired of doing, or what it feels is doing, the work of what people should be doing for themselves now. But again, you can't get mad at you. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Nobody forced you to turn this thing into a wash when nobody knows their true culture and everybody's basically scrambling and trying to fight to see, where they fit in terms of monetary value and stuff. They don't need to do that. They had to do that. This is the world that they have created for themselves based upon not paying their debts, but promising to pay a debt. They're prolonging the inevitable. And the fact that the inevitable has now become the obvious, Moor science itself has now had to take a new level of understanding. Yet, to do that, what the prophet says is going to happen. All the old Moors is going to be put in the back, and then the new Moors will step up and carry out the work. There was giants. Like I'm talking about, I'm reading some of the stuff about this North history and science, and it's giants in industry, giants in the things that these people was doing at a time when we were supposed to be the most uneducated, the most niggerish, the most disenfranchised. It seemed like these niggas are doing now. Now we have the ability to do all of this. They don't want to recognize nothing. So when one of these dirty Moors get bagged up with their situation or trying to promote you to do whatever they want you to do this week, that make it harder for the real Moors that's supposed to be doing what they're supposed to do, that's operating in the capacity that they're supposed to be operating in. But nobody want to really take that aspect of the devil seriously, because that means taming the devil within. And a lot of these people, like I said, they not functioning from that. Like it said in the piece that I just read, the emperor was the spiritual head of it all. You know what I mean? So if we look at Noble Jew Ali as an emperor, that means he is the spiritual head of everything that we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So when you got people that come up all of a sudden and just want to like throw them under the bus and disenfranchise you from that, make you doubt your own lifelong history, you got to understand we're approaching 100 years, 100-year anniversary of the Moorish Science Temple. 100 years, man. It's real talk. It's real talk. 100 years. Think about that, man. Been down with this thing, whether you was down with it or not, whether you accepted Moorish science or not. This ball been rolling, with or without you. That's what you too said, right? With or without you. This thing been going. Whether you want to declare your nationality or not, whether you think it's bullshit or not, guess what? Somebody don't, because it's been filed. And somebody in Washington had to know what was going down, because at the height of the time when they was going through their bankruptcy, they had to make a special pause for you. They made a special pause for you. They declared their bankruptcy on May 1st, 1933. They came out HJR 75, May 4th, 1933. 4 days after, they made everybody else in the country take away their gold and make them 14th Amendment citizens or whatever else they was going to do to determine death slaves and all of that. They made a provision for you to get out of that. So now in 2013, y'all niggas want to act like you don't know what I'm doing when I'm coming down to the Social Security office to correct my name on the birth certificate. I'm not coming to do what these other niggas are telling me to do. I'm not coming out here to change it. I don't need to change something. I don't need to change nothing. You can keep it how it is, except just add this little ill in the end of it. So that way you know that I'm registered here. You understand? And that you can't deport me nowhere else, nigga. You understand? and the fact that I deserve all of the benefits and all of that as the person who helped set up your government, and you can tell that by the fact that I got an eel and a bay at the end of my joint, which distinguishes me from the rest of these undeclared Moors that you now beating up and reclassifying as Negroes. And now these other Moors and these people's upset at you because you don't want to be lumped in with the rest of them. Think about this, man. These people bugging. It's not cool. So based on that, you have, like I said, a polarized environment where everybody's beseeching you to come and follow them, and in their way is the best way. So, you know, this is like this back in the days, in the early 30s and all of that in Harlem, was when you would see in Malcolm X, everybody would go to Harlem, and then you see this one on the soapbox, and then see this kicking Christianity, and this one kicking Islam, and this one kicking more on all of that. But you ain't never see the one kicking more science, though. How come they ain't show you that one? Because Spike Lee and the rest of them niggas can't show you that. Because them niggas sworn an oath, like everybody else, to keep that from you. Because that's what these niggas do. So we got to even get beyond the aspect of being affected by these people on an emotional level for being traitors. Some of the stuff these Moors are doing today is high treason. You see what I'm saying? If this was a real government and you were really functioning how you're supposed to, these people would look for high treason. See, treason is one thing, but high treason, okay, that's now taking it to a whole nother level. That's now you willfully doing stuff that is now totally just we gotta kill you. Like there's no way out. You know what I'm saying? Like you just gotta go now. And you know these things that these Moors are doing are high treasonous, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that you need to make a choice. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be the one as your brother to let you know that no, this is not a fraternal or Masonic organization. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that you like the trinkets and the little fake jewels and, you know, and the applause and the little fake getting together and the whole pomp and circumstance of, oh, I'm the sovereign grand this and the worshipful this and all of that. I'm sorry, but all of that is illusion. All of that is, you know what that's called? That's called pageantry. You should have just had a cotillion or something like that growing up if you wanted all of that, man. But that's not what running a government's about. You don't see niggas in the government, United States government, at cotillions. You don't see that. What you see them in is at state dinners. You know what I'm saying? They at matters of state. And when they eating, they talking about how they getting money from these other people to keep their state going, okay? The city never sleeps. That's what they say, right? Because the city is a creature of law. It's not real. It's an animal. It's a beast. It's something that is run amok. And according by law, by Supreme Court edict law, it was found. I wish I could find it. I love it. I love it. That's awesome. You understand what I'm saying? It's a whole nother thing going on nowadays, and we need to understand. So when you see that picture of the prophet in the office, and on one he's sitting on the right side, and Pearl sitting on the left, and above him is the national flag, historic national flag of the United States, the official historic 48 state national flag of the United States, and then on the other side is the Moroccan. The flag of the Almoroccan Empire turned upside down, which then represents its position as the Capricornius Saturnalis, which basically means that our government is in disorder. Did you ever notice that the upside down Moroccan star is the same star that's being used for the symbol of the Church of Satan? And that if the goat that's what it's representing, wasn't Noble Jew Ali born a Capricorn, born on the 8th? Saturn rules 8. 8 is the goat. Goat is Capricorn. You see? 1. Mm-hmm. Nah. You ever notice that? They got them bugging, yo. They got these people really tripping. They got Moors really all over the place with shit, and they don't even understand why. They don't. Because they've been so miseducated. And the miseducation really, and what I'm seeing, based looking at all these FBI reports, reading all these hours of FBI reports, reading all of this plus lessons that Moors and guards used to tell me, y'all don't read that, God. You can't read that plus lesson. Ain't nothing in that for you. Nothing in everything in the basic ones, right? Right. Right. That's how they always do, man. According to American Communication Association versus Dowd, D-O-U-D-S, 339 U.S.C. 382 from 1950, that the ruling says that it is not the function of our government to keep the citizen from falling into error. It is the function of the citizens to keep the government from falling into error, meaning that it is not the federal government's position to punish citizens. So if that's the case, how come the federal government is always prosecuting somebody? You see what I'm saying? It's little things like that that seem contradictory, but is the essence of the law itself. Yet these Moors today ain't talking to you about no real law, because if they're talking about real law, they got to be talking to you about an isonomy. And these niggas can't even approach. You understand? They can't even fathom what that really is. We just starting to grasp it. We here, Super Heru, we just starting to grasp it, but we got more than a tail. I tell you that. And in that, I can tell you that it's totally based on the honor system. So if you don't have no honor, this thing ain't going to be for you. You're not going to be able to be a part of the government. You're not. Because this is about honor and staying in a perpetual state of the square. But you can't do that if we got to do, God forbid, something popped off. Let's say something happened today, tomorrow, and all of the Moors started being attacked, right, by all these different, by the so-called Masons. And you happen to be, or Freemason, Scottish Rite, whatever. Let's say that goes down, right? What's going to happen then? What happens if you were Moor? What happens if you then are Moor, but you also happen to be a Scottish Rite at the same time? Who are you fighting for? Who are you down with? Who are you looking out for? You trying to look out for everybody. You trying to save him and save me at the same time? Well, don't. If you have to choose, save me. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it extra real. Because at least I'm not bound to keep a secret from you and perpetually put you and your people in the darkness. So essentially, like I said, this is a time when we starting to be approached. Everybody beefing about, this and that and how this is what it is. It's not that. It's not that. Things are more simple than they are confusing. What's making them confusing is that those of us, for every 5 Moors that's trying to do it right, there's 7 different Moors that's instructed to do it wrong, who may want to be right. They may want to be right. But they're around people that tell them to do shit in the wrong way. So then what? Remember, these devils, the ignorance of the law is no excuse. If this is your government and this is your people, you're supposed to know how they roll. You're supposed to know who's spanking all of that. You're supposed to know the law that says. You're supposed to receive a delegation of authority and things like that. You're supposed to have certain things in place. So if you don't got that, then obviously you're not that. So that means you're committing fraud, and now we got the right to throw you in jail and call you a Negro and everything else. That's what happened when we became resolute. But we had to be resolute in our position to be able to maintain the energy to bring the knowledge of who we really are into the future based on the time spell that they done put on the rest of these Negroes. This is real talk, man. So I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm talking about everybody in general. But the only reason why I can say it like this to you is because I have not pledged nothing else. You understand? And I'm not saying that people who've done that are evil. Don't misinterpret and extrapolate it like I'm casting you to hell. I'm not doing that. I'm just telling you that when it comes to the obligations, as we move closer, I'm your brother letting you know that all of that ain't going to fly, man. If these niggas want to give you an honorary degree based on what you know and all that, that's cool. You don't even need that, but great. If they want to do that to give them some way where they can, trying to say, well, at least this Moor was there and he vouched, cool. But any more trying to get you to become a part of the United States or do stuff that's making the United States money, you know how much money Obama and them niggas made off of UCC filings last year? By declaring they can't define you as property, but they can list you as a property improvement. You see what I'm saying? They can list you also as human capital, which they did. Clinton was the one who came out on finally in public notice and told everybody that he had everybody listed as goyim. That's why the Jews call you goyim, because you cattle. You're being herded. You're being corralled. You dig? Because that's how they got to run their society. That's how Washington and them was able to set up their society. Why? Because a bunch of your cousins and them, look, Mo, we can bring it down to the time. They said that the sun was almost in 11 o'clock, so that means it was in Aquarius. So from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, we went up there at 6 Independence Halls in Philadelphia at Philae, the original Philae. We went there on October 14th and went in there under the sign of Aquarius at 11 o'clock and came out under the sign of Aries, meaning that within that Aquarius we went into the Pisces and then back into the Aries. So within that whole section, we adopted and created the free national constitution that has yet to be repealed, that protects and Ben said that you was right, had all the rights and all of that before white men even existed, before they could even use that as a term for themselves. You had already solidified yourself. I got documentation that says that British consuls and did treaties and stuff like that for you in 1751. It says that you never that recognized you as an international consul then. But they had to set up that whole illicit system through Chickasaw County, Mississippi, and then that became a whole thing. That's what the Missouri Compromise was about. But we don't understand real black, real American history because these blacks that's in these black universities, guess what? They can't even teach you as an Asiatic person black science. You know why? Because they done localized it revolved it to the fact that because you black, you don't need to know nothing about your black history, which is true. There ain't no such thing as black history. But, you know, niggas hold on to what they know. So in that, they basically said that because of that, that's somehow culturally biased. So they got the black teachers teaching the white kids African history, and they bring the white teachers in to teach the black kids black and European history. So that's what's called a fair and balanced education. You wonder why the teachers is having sex with the kids and all of that? Because they bored. They can't hear this bullshit no more. You think that stopped black people from sending their children to school, though? Nope. Not at all.
When are you putting him in school?
Not at all.
They never fucking did.
Yep.
Don't even say that. Don't even
Word. Word. They can't. They couldn't wait. These people.
Worry about. My son goes to Universal School of Law at night.
Exactly. He goes to Universal School of Houseofel, Law, and Master. That's the name of the school he goes to. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to say. So when you really living in the past and you speak in the quantum, you can really speak it without having to speak through a corporation. These dudes is trying to turn you into living corporations and trying to act like that's some sort of nationality, like that's somehow honoring your forefathers. When they know better, that's the other part of the game. These niggas know better. They know better. But they not teaching you no better. Because they don't want you to succeed in your true persona. They want you to always be dependent upon them explaining to you how to be what you are, because that's what is taught to them in them damn lodges, man. I'm telling you. Man. I watch these dudes pontificate about the glories of the craft and all this other shit. And all these niggas really let you do is travel. They let you go from lodge to lodge. That's great. But you know what? The world is the lodge, man. The world is the temple now. You are the temple. So regards to what lodge or whatever they put you up in and you can stay for free and niggas giving you food and all, oh, that's great. That's a privilege, nigga. That's a privilege. That don't confer no sovereignty. That don't confer no real fellowship. Because if it did, we'd all be in it. You understand? Whenever a group of niggas get together and act like they got more knowledge than you, then you already know the fix is in. Especially if there ain't no women around. You know what I mean? In as bad shape mentally as a lot of these original women are. I'm coming across more and more of them that's really going hard, trying to really get their own shit together and not have to deal with the devil if they can, more and more. As much as I'm hearing about the crazy ones, I'm seeing the ones that's really riding and going hard, too. While I'm seeing these niggas trying to herd people into becoming members with the United States or some failed partnership. Are you crazy, man? But then always want to talk about how great the Prophet is and all that. Prophet never talks about that. Prophet never talked about dealing with these niggas on a level of equality where you let them in your government. That word, when they talk to you about being part and parcel or something, that word part and parcel is only as old as the 16th century. Parcel, part cell, or a partial cell, that is very young. And they tack that onto the part to make sure that it could be a little piece of the whole. That is real talk, man. Real talk, man. It's not a joke, and people think it is. But the more I'm seeing these Moors commit these acts of high treason, the more I'm looking at them like, okay, well, even though you're supposed to know better, you don't. So from now on, I strive not to listen to too much no way. You know what I mean? And I strive not to always give my opinion on what I see somebody else doing. You know, but if somebody's coming to me in earnest and really, really asking me, especially after they've been, spiritually taken advantage of by one of these maniacs, you gotta be forthright. You still gotta uplift form humanity and let people know that there is still hope. And not everybody's out there trying to take advantage of them. You know? Get this book called Narrative of Robert Adams, A Barbary Captive. Get that book. People telling you that you as a Moor, you don't exist. There was never people known as that. Get a book called Delaware's Forgotten Folk, The Story of the Moors and the Nanticokes by C.A. Westlager. These idiots, these intellectual African Negrophiles, these people who are trying to promote an agenda that takes away from what your nationality is. You ain't out here trying to tell people that, oh, if you're African, you don't exist. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying that the word, don't get it twisted. I'm talking about the word and the usage and how it's being applied to people is not real. But I know a person from the continent of Africa exists. But again, if I'm meeting that person, I'm not going to treat them like an African. I'm going to treat them based upon the nationality and love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality like I'm supposed to. Not based upon some predetermined idea. See what I'm saying? It's a way we're supposed to be operating, and we can't do that if we're in a constant battle with always catching up with trying to unpoison a well that somebody else poisoned before we got there. And there ain't no white man doing that. Can't no white man tell me I ain't who I am. You already know who I am. I'm telling you, they already know. They sitting on this secret. They sitting on it, literally sitting on it. Remember when Father used to say, sit on it, Ralph? Yeah, they sitting on it, literally. Wasn't Richie Cunningham's pops a Freemason? Every Thursday he went to the lodge, right? Yeah, get another book called The Handless Maiden, The Moriscos, The Politics of Religion in Early Modern Spain. Get this book. You don't exist. Yeah, right? Get another book called Gypsy Law, The Romany legal traditions and culture. Read about the Romanis, because those are Moors too. But they got their own king. Get another book called Russia's Age of Serfdom, 1649 to 1861 by Ellis Kimmerling. Wirtschafter. That's his last name. Get another book called Queen, Empress, and Concubine by Claudia Gold. This gets into people like Queen Charlotte Sophia and the Empress Delphine Kim Badger and Rebecca, a.k.a. known as Pocahontas, and the rest of them that got caught up into that old political marriage crap. Our story is way large, man, and it's getting larger by the day. You know what I mean? This is from Article 11 from the Treaty of Tripoli. And it says, as the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion, as it has in itself no character of enmity against the laws, religion, or tranquility of the Mussulman, meaning Moors, and as the faith, and as the said states never have entered into any war or act of hostility against any Mohammedan nation. A Mohammedan, a Muslim, a Mohammedan is a Moor. It is declared by the parties that no pretext arising from religious opinion shall ever produce an interruption of harmony existing between the two countries. That's you. That's you on both sides. That's you in the United States of America. That's you as a Muslim. That's you as a member of the Mohammedan nations that's being spoken of. That's you. So how is it, if that's the case, and that's what it is in the ancient Treaty of Tripoli, how is that different now? How is it that they messing with Moors and doing things now? I'm telling people, you got to get your stuff right. The Division of Vital Records is currently not sending birth certificates to unwed mothers, regardless if an acknowledgement of paternity was completed at the hospital. They are asking that the patients wait 2 months and then call the Bureau of Child Support Enforcement helpline number to obtain the record number before calling the Division of Vital Records. They want to register the birth certificate with the Child Support Collections Unit before they register it now with the damn state. You see what's going on? These people are sick. Why? Because they want to alter the birth record. They want to alter things before you get a chance to do it. And these Moors is helping them do it, man. They complain. They helping them do it. And because they sound, they sound charismatic, you know what I'm saying? They talk a good one. But in the end, you got to remember, this thing started a long time ago. And we have been in a quantum time spell ever since. Ever since. Brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, it's no joke. These dudes, it's what they call a wash. When you, like I said, when you know the true mysticism related to the name Muhammad, and when you get into the true relationship into what Muhammad is and then what it manifests into, and why the mystic term has so much of a spell on people, it's going to bring you to very interesting histories that a lot of other people can't really fathom based upon what they have been bred to believe is true. And it's not for you to bust their brain open if that's what they're about, because they have automatic spirit blocks in them to keep them from getting that now. So like I said, there's a whole wealth of history you're on the cusp of getting. And it's going to come from the most unlikely source. And as much as these people been acting like, oh, we rocking this and we know that and all, these niggas don't know. You know what I'm saying? They don't know. And those of us that know enough to know that we don't know it all. But we do know what not to mess with, and I do know that this is a divine and national movement. And not everybody has a divine and national sense towards this. But the government has already given certain protocols to work by Moors, not to stop us, these Moors who did these things, but to create the lines of communication open and to protect those of us that want to be right, correct, and exact. And just because somebody else, like I said, is that way, don't mean that we all that way. So just because this dude is a jerk wearing a fez, don't mean that it was. Just because Leopold brutalized these Africans wearing fez, don't mean that I'm brutalizing Africans wearing a fez today. You know what I mean? When we, and this is what I mean, like we forget that, like Dick Gregory said, people kill the people closest to them. They kill their own people. So they said 98% of the killings that go down, Dick Gregory said that. He said 93% of the killers that go down like that have been going down for some time. But these are white people killing white people, but they ain't calling that white-on-white crime. They're not calling the Asian people, the North Korean people who was killing the South Korean people. They don't call that yellow-on-yellow crime. They don't call the Germans killing the Jews all of that. They didn't call that, even though a lot of the Germans that was killing the Jews was Jews themselves and Germans and vice versa. They're not getting into all of that. And this is what I mean about our society. We as a people have been bred to believe that we need leaders and that we're supposed to be up under somebody and somebody's supposed to be always instructing us how to do these things. And all that's doing is locking us further into a paradigm in which we are looking for somebody to tell us what to do. That means that we're not who we are. But the reason why that's happening is because you got a bunch of Negroes still that's trying to get you back into a system of dependency and perpetual warship based upon a colorable mentality that only exists in a colorable system. And because you have these Negroes that's operating and functioning through certain channels like they representing you, but they not. And so it creates, like I said, wars and stuff between us because we've never reconciled what happened and why it happened to us like that, man. And why we can't seem to get together. And I'm telling you, in my opinion, in my research, in my assessment, it all sparks from what happened then. And that was such a heinous aspect that it literally has yet to resolve itself in our lifetime. When these Moors got together and did not want to do that, they put themselves outside of everything and everybody constitutionally. Therefore, they had no means of protecting themselves, both spiritually or from denationalization and eventual cannibalization by this new so-called United States nation that was now going to build itself on the perpetual backs of these so-called undesirables who could be the beast of burden, which they classified them as. That's why when Lil Wayne be talking about how he's a beast and all this other stuff, and Alex Tribe's calling himself a beast and all this other crap. This is where this is coming from, people. You are classified as that. There are statutes in the so-called United States legislature that says that. But guess what? For everyone that say that about that, there's one that says something different about them more. Or a free inhabitant, or a free Indian, or a free American Indian, or a Muslim, or a Mohammedan, or a Muslim. Osman Ali, Bey, founder of the Ottoman Turks, great ancestor, relative of Genghis Khan, Lord of the Golden Horde, said, "Be careful about the religious issues before all other duties. The religious ideas build a strong state. Do not give religious duties to careless, faithless, and sinful men. The one without the fear of God the Creator has no fear of the created. Depend on God's judgment, help in the protection of justice and fairness, and to remove cruelty." This is from a Turk. Now how much they hate the Turks. This is from the Lord of the Turks, the founder of the Turks. But they don't tell you that in 1492, when the Moors got expelled, the so-called Jews got expelled, it was the Moorish Jews, who were the Sephardim, right, got expelled. The Ottoman Sultan, the Ottoman Empire, sent the entire Navy, the entire Turkish Navy, to go rescue the Moors, take them anywhere they wanted to go in the world, give them money on top of it, and start the jihad against all of Europe. This is what led to the deposing of the Moors of 1492 is what led to the capture of Constantinople and turn into Istanbul, and the eventual control of all of Europe by the so-called Ottoman or Turkish Empire, the Osmanli Bey, the Moorish Turkish Empire. From 1493 to almost 1885, and it wasn't for the British actually sending people in there to become nationalized as so-called Moors like T.E. Lawrence, Arabs and them, to go help the so-called, because now the Turkish Empire by the late 1800s had waned and turned into an amalgamated thing where they now trying to work and hold on to what's ever left for them. Because Morocco was never under the jurisdiction of Turkey. Turkey was under the jurisdiction of Morocco. How about that? Yo, they got this world history thing twisted. And they made it so much so now that when brothers like myself or sisters like whoever else, Yafabe or whoever else come out and try to drop some real shit on these niggas, they want to look at like, oh, well, look about the rest of these niggas, though. They ain't like that, so they can't be real. Because they'll get three of these niggas, three of these boule / Freemasonic / Scottish Rite stuff, Eastern Startup, Negro files to come, and then start to back up some whole other fictitious history that they done gave you. Not every informant is being blackmailed, okay? Because that seed of distrust and enemy and resentment that came from those Moors after that date, 1774, started to switch up. Because what happened was there was nobody in the new country yet, because the United States didn't even exist, meaning that Jefferson and Washington, all them niggas were slaves. Therefore, everything that you see in Washington, D.C. was not about them. They did not design any of that. They did not create all of that. I look at the Grand Master of whatever MFN Lodge that exists in Scottish Rite, the oldest white man, where he could be 110 years old. I'm going to look right in this nigga's face with fez on and nothing on and be like, you don't know shit. You don't know nothing about this Moorish science thing. You don't know nothing about what it is you even doing. And he will look right at me and be like, you're right, God, you're right. Because in that arena, he got to submit. Because he know when he go into what they call the shroud of the great night, and to meet the Lord of the perfect black, he going to see me there too. He going to leave this world, see me there wearing a fez. He going to get into the next world, see me wearing the same damn fez. Only thing I'm going to be bigger and blacker. Then what? What's going to happen, Moore? What's going to happen, Freemason Moore, when you do that? The prophet said, study yourself. But think about what he's saying. He's saying study the second principle in ourself, law, and master. He's saying study your wisdom. He's saying get wise more. Understand what it is you're here to do and what it is these people want to stop you from doing. But they can't stop you. They can just delay you. So when these Moors found out that they could have just came right back into the constitutional fold. You know what? I'm going to stop the foolishness. I'm going to stop being down with these wild, barbarous pirates that's not looking out for everybody and still enslaving these crackers and all that. I'm going to get down with you with the Inland Bay and all that. We're going to get this empire in order. It didn't happen. So Washington and them came up in the meantime and was trusted by putting a vote. It's a sad day when we had to trust the slave more than we could trust each other. And we gave him the flag to put into the damn vault. And it's been in there ever since. And then the white man then created a fictitious history, because now he's like, well, what you want to do with these niggas? They're like, well, I can't do nothing with them. I can't even get them to listen to me. I just read to you how the Riff Pirates was like, nah, we doing us. I know the Sultan is there. That's like our spiritual pops, but he can't really tell us what to do. See what I'm saying? And they right. And if you really read between the lines and the thing, the Sultan's still not trying to stop them from rocking. He's just like, look, don't mess up what I'm doing with these niggas over here, because I'm trying to get us some more money. But y'all niggas is doing this petty shit, and it's holding up the process. Isn't that what's going on today? So when these Moors get together, they say, okay, well, what we're going to do is this. We're going to take the word Negro, because that's the word that's being used in the vernacular of the basic vulgar masses anyway, and colored and everything else or whatever, and we're going to put that on the books in our country as being synonymous to a species of property. And then we'll use these undesirable Moors who have already declassified themselves outside of their own nation as our property, and then eventually get them to a point where they need to invest in our country, and then they will use their wealth because they still represent who they are, even though they don't know that. And then we'll create a perpetual history based on this lie. But we're going to have to entrain it in them. We're going to have to brutalize them and rape and torture them, which really is basically just justification for what we're doing then. But we can't do that to the Moors, because the Moors were the ones that put us in position to be able to have something like this in the first place. So we respect any original man that's coming in his true love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, equality, spirit, to do the work. So by 1779, all of these Moors have been formally declared as property, and now the so-called African slave trade start, and they get the right to miseducate and tell everybody everything about what they aren't. And it created history, because there's not enough of us that's constituted in our government to even rebut that anymore. And then all of the things that they owed us was now bottled up in a nice big secret through something called Prince Hall. Prince Hall niggas don't even know that that's not even the name of that thing. That's not even the original name of that thing. But, again, I ain't going to give you everything. I ain't going to tell you. You know what I mean? From the class. This is what I mean. When he says study yourself, this is what it is. But active studying with that's still speculative with no operative aspect is masturbation. It's academic or literary masturbation, and that's not getting us nowhere. So if we already know that the Negro is designated as a species of property, and now that species of property has now been upgraded through the executive order put out by Clinton to represent human capital, that means when you hear about banks like Capital One and Capital this and the capital of the United States, what are they talking about? Are they talking about Washington? They can't be, because the Washington building cannot be the capital, because the capital represents the seat of the government. But the seat of the government cannot be the capital, because the capital also represents the interest of the government. So how are you going to be the seat of the government and the interest of the government at the same time? The only government agents that can do something like that is the post office. In the United States, like the post office. The United States post office was founded in 1971. So what country are you in? Where are you at? How can this be? It can be because it's been that way based upon a perpetual force of miseducation that has been exacerbated and founded upon those people who were the most upset about your disenfranchisement. And that was the people who no longer wanted to be identified with you but didn't want you to come up without them. I got it right here from Chapter 1 of the Status of the Negro and His Rights and Disabilities. from the Negro Law of South Carolina. And it gets into all of this thing about Negroes and what you can't do to them. The race of slave Indians or of Indians not in amity to this government, the state, is extinct. You see that? But they got to always put out the declaration. It is declared that every Negro, Indian, mulatto, and mestizo is a slave unless the contrary can be made to appear, meaning unless he can declare what his nationality is. Yet in the same, it is immediately thereafter provided the Indians in amity with this government accepted, in which case the burden of proof shall lie on the defendant, that is, on the person claiming the Indian plaintiff to be a slave. So that means in Carolina to this day, if they bag riding up on you and they calling you a slave, meaning a 14th Amendment citizen, meaning a undeclared black, Negro, African colored, and you show and prove to them that you are more, it is their responsibility. The burden of proof is on them to show that you're not a more. If you notice, when they lock you up and do things like that with your Morris culture, they never say that what you are is not true. They never say that the such and such and such as they is not a Moor, therefore can fall under the jurisdiction of the United States to do so. They never say that. And I've been reading Moorish documents since 1997. I ain't never read a document that said this person right here is not a Moor and therefore we could stop him. No. They say that this person is claiming to be a Moor and claiming this, but based upon this, and that, he is not. Or he is saying that he is not under jurisdiction of this, and that. But they never come out and say that because they can't come out and say that because they know who the true bearers and the true Americans are. The problem is these people that come here based on them being immigrants or them having a fight to come to America and all that, they all feel that they got more knowledge and more credibility here than you. And then Mexicans that's kidnapping each other, cutting each other's heads off 10 times 20 a week come up here and you working, get a job and shit, and then try to be more American than you, try to be the one that's now trying to lock you down, trying to become a police officer or some other type shit. Only slaves do that. Slaves and slave races, they only do that. When the white man was running the country, if you look at gangs in New York, he wasn't becoming a cop himself. He was using the immigrants, the slave whites that was coming in, that wanted to find a way to abrogate themselves and have a protection in society while from the other crazy white Protestants. So they all inundated themselves in a civil service job, which meant that so long as there was a white superior over them, they could control. So what do? They know that slave mentality says that if I put one slave over this slave, they'll get caught up enslaving each other while I'm getting the benefit of it all. Think that's not true? Look at what happened with Pontius Pilate, Yahushua, and the Pharisees and the Sadducees. It's the same thing that's happening today with Tupac, Death Row, and the United States government. The same situation. Only thing Tupac, by the time he started declaring his nationality, calling himself Machiavelli, he can't claim to be a direct Moor, so he's going to go through the day ship. He's going to go through the de Medici. Because Niccolo Machiavelli wrote the prince for and based on Alessandro de Medici, who was called the Moor in court. And the de Medicis was the ones that was paying money, putting money up for Castile and Aragon and them to depose the traditional Moors so that way they could seize those lands and get some of the money that was coming from their ability to go back over on this side. You could see that story in the movie The Fountain, which was all about the Moorish dynasty on both sides of the world. But because Hugh Jackman in it, again, playing the Moor, playing the black man, playing the conquistador, and Rachel Weisz is in it, you know what I'm saying? We thinking that it's something else. But no, they filmed that thing right in the court, right in Grenada. They filmed it right when they were supposed to, right where they were supposed to. This is what I mean, man. The truth is the truth regardless. It needs no apology. It needs no excuse. It needs nobody coming and saying that it's not what it's supposed to be. It is what it is. I am that I am. But again, like I said, we fall short of that because there's still a part of us that see what happens to Moors that are not as versed or worse, Moors that have been purposely instructed the wrong way, based upon people playing both sides of the fence, man. And we get too grown for that. We get too old for that. %80 of the people that I've done readings for, that I've asked if there was a Freemasonic or a Masonic person in their family directly, 80% of those people have told me yes. So that means that this psychological or sexual abuse shit is a part of the ritual to help engender the consciousness to bring the soul into a situation like that, where it feels that it cannot survive on the light of the Creator, which is the light of self. So it has to submit to a false light, an illuminated light, an artificial light to receive some sort of guidance. And then all they wind up doing is moving further and further into the demonic possession of the order. Because whether or not you want to believe it or not, whether or not these niggas is going to tell you or not, every lodge got an angel and demon invoked at the cornerstone ceremony of it. Whether that night or the next day, there's always a high ritual that goes, a high-low ritual that goes down where they do that. And then everybody that becomes part of that lodge comes under the umbrella of that entity. That's why all these niggas tell the same lies, wind up getting the same diseases, wind up getting the same results in life and all of that. So as much as high as you are, Ron Brown, as much as you've done in the world, the minute you start trying to get too international, these niggas put two in your head and kill you on a mound, crash the plane, shoot you in the top of the head, then crash the plane, then leave the body there so that way nobody can get it. It's straddling on two different countries. How do you do that? But again, this is what I'm talking about when it's the overall lack of achievement or the overall perception that we are always in a disadvantage, that we're not. We're actually more closer to the goal than ever. And that's why so many people is jumping ship and doing things to put themselves outside of the true inheritance. But that's better for you. That's better for me in the long run, man. It's better. It's better. Let these people box themselves out of position, man. Let these people allow what to be to be. Let them corrupt things so much that anything that is a purer light is going to shine 10 times as bright as what they've already put out there. And I'm telling you, they can't all get it, man. There's a straight pseudo coup d'etat going on with this thing, and these niggas don't even realize. But it's going in the opposite direction. They think they actually winning by hooking up with the Black Desk or the Syndicate or whoever else they doing. You know what I'm saying? They think they really winning, but they not, man. They not. Let's see what time it is. Well, check this. The term Negro is confined to slave Africans. And then in a parentheses, it says the ancient Berbers and their descendants. It does not embrace the free inhabitants of Africa. We know Africa is a code for earth, so we know what that means. The free inhabitants of earth / Africa, such as the Egyptians, Moors, or the Negro Asiatics. It says mulatto is the issue of white and Negro, but it didn't say white man, it just said white, so it's talking about the status. A mulatto is a product of a free white person and a undeclared Moor classified as a Negro. That's what a mulatto is, not a white woman, a black woman who is the product of a white father or a black mother or vice versa. That don't make you a mulatto. What makes you a mulatto is if you were born of a free white person and a so-called Negro. When the mulatto ceases and a party bearing some slight taint of African blood ranks as white is a question for the solution of a jury. You see? They could not enslave you for real, so they had to create quasi-titles to get you to accept based upon your lack of understanding of where your true government was at. And there was enough Negro traitors amongst them that helped perpetuate the falsehood of who we was. And when the time came after the Civil War for us to fulfill the rest of the Emancipation Proclamation, now which by no means, if you hear more start talking about, we part of the Emancipation, you're not part of the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation was set up to help get you back in your true position based upon you being an heir to the government, not being a perpetual African slave, the two different things. Don't let them put you in that trick bag neither. There were 3 parts to the so-called emancipation, but as till now, niggas have only done one, which was the part that Lincoln did. Everybody free. So niggas like, I ain't got to do nothing else. I'm free. No, you're not. After that, you were supposed to go to the Freedmen's Bureau, and the Freedmen's Bureau was supposed to then hook you up and let you proclaim what national heritage you came from based upon your free national name. That's why they wasn't supposed to change it, because at the time, remember, there was no United States. So Britain was the dominant factor. England represented the 13 colonies. Therefore, using an English name allowed you, speaking English allowed you more mercantile possibilities. So you would use the free national name, which was customary, because that was the name that still had bared the bay and ill, but was easy enough to be spoken of in English court. That's why Moulay Ismail or Moulay al-Rashid could be known as King Louis XVI. You see? But, we don't really understand history because we get it as a byproduct from somebody else who is purposely lying to us. You know what I'm saying? So as it stands, like I said, we're in a perpetual state of catching up to where we're always supposed to be at. And once one of us or some of us strive to do things in a manner that is this way, then boom. But then we see these so-called white boys and white women talking all of this shit, and they even claiming Moorish nationality, and these niggas is actually winning. They actually respecting aspects of it to a point. You would find, you know what I mean? You will find that the people who give you the most problem about your culture, not white people, other than the so-called police and things like that. And that only comes up when they're trying to force themselves to contract with you. That's really the issue. We don't have no real problem. You don't really have no problems with the United States government like that. Your problems are coming from the state government. By the time you deal with the federal people, they already know who you are. They already know. They don't already sworn an oath to protect you. They already know. The people who don't know and the people who ain't under no oath is the state government. They're the hater. And who is the majority of the people running the state government? Black people and Jewish people. Yeah, you have the white Protestant people above them, but I mean, really, what does that really say? Nothing. So that's what I'm saying when it comes to the overall perspective of us as a people. We wind up getting caught up because we keep ourselves in situations that we don't have to be in by acting like we have no other choice. And we do. Our government and our free national constitution been there. It's protecting us right now. That's why the white boys, you ask any American so-called history scholar, whatever, about the American Constitution, American Articles of Federation, Articles of Association, and see how they face and their nose turn up. They don't like that because it gave them no power. Because they had no power, because they were all slaves. But God forbid they tell you that. Get The Forgotten Cause of the Civil War. Get that book. Get another book called Black Confederates. Or Black, what was it? Get another book called White Slaves, Black Masters. Get another book called what was it called? Black Confederates. Black Confederates and Confederate Yankees. It's a whole nother thing going down, man, with this thing, and regardless of who or what, just because somebody don't want you to be something, you got to understand why. Why does somebody care so much what you call yourself if what you calling yourself don't exist? But I'm also showing you is the transliteration, how they not trying to flip their argument. I just showed and proved to you that everywhere the term Negro or Black or African is a species of property. But niggas would rather be that than call yourself more. If you want to say that I don't exist or that don't exist. The Moroccan Empire was the first empire in the world to recognize the United States. How they going to tell me I don't exist? How you going to tell me I don't descend from the people who do that? The very fact that I'm coming to you with a damn turban, all that shit on, let you know off the rip that I'm not like the rest of these niggas. And that's been the whole thing with we as Asiatic Moors, man. Always trying to tell people that we ain't like the other ones. Because the other ones is always messing up. They always coming off barbarous. They always animalizing, cannibalizing somebody. Enslaving somebody, duping somebody, trying to get over on them more, trying to, get him to get money to do this paperwork, all this other stuff. Like, so when I tell you today that the Kremlin was called the Kazan at first, based on the Khazars, who were the Moors, was built on an ancient site, again, during the Moorish period of what they call the Golden Horde, or the Kazan Khanate. Just like you had the Caliphate, you had a Khanate. And the Khanate was basically out of Genghis Khan, who was there to basically put everybody back under control. Another name for them in speech was the Tartars, or the so-called Mongol Empire. But all of these, again, these are the Moors. These are the ones who brought Rome down, the Roman state, which was the experiment of those Moors from Gaul for their white slaves to see how they was going to rock under their own limited duchy. But they couldn't hold it down. So like I said, man, this is the time for us to be able to delegate and come together in a real fashion and make something really happen. But I should say, however, to make that happen, we must understand our position and why it has been like that for so long. For instance, like, I'll wear my fez out, and it's obvious how it is, but when people look at it, they say, some people say, it's a great hat. Some people generally don't know it's not a hat. But some people do. And they say that to see if I'm going to accept the compliment or accept it being looked at as a hat. So, of course, me, I the first one be like, thank you, but it's not a hat. What is it? It's what it is. It's my national headdress. You see, niggas don't talk like that. See what I'm saying? Because niggas wear hats. Because the word hat is hate. And because they taught you to hate your crown and hate your hair and hate your natural appearance, you had to wear something to cover it up. But when you wear a fez, you're not covering up your head because you don't hate yourself. You're actually representing your national character and presenting yourself as you was always supposed to be presented, as a noble of the clan of the Eels and Bays, together known as the Baals or Baal. But they got you thinking that that's some sort of satanic deity of an old ancient Canaanite god. That's what I mean. We just all messed up, man. We just all over the place, man. So let me see. If anybody wants to call in, you can call in at 347-637-1184. So we're going to get into some calls real quick. I try to look for, get Saga on a couple of times, but you know this thing be bugging. Let's see if we get it. 678, you're now live with Super Heru Radio. You have any questions? Comments?
What's up, big bro?
Peace, fam. How you doing, man?
All right, I'm doing all right. Yeah, I was just sitting here just listening to you go in.
Thanks.
What you think is still going on with that Boston thing? I already know it's a false flag.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. You know, the same thing they always doing, man. They always creating situations to make people be scared of something. So the thing that interested me the most about it, though, was the whole Peter Griffin thing on the Family Guy. Because you noticed he had a fez on in the episode, right, when he pressed the button on the cell phone that blew up the first thing, and then he said, wait a minute, and then went back and pressed it again. He had on a straight fez, red fez, with a Moorish vest on. You know what I'm saying? And a cummerbund. So that kind of struck me odd. Like, if you was going to dress him up like a terrorist, Al-Qaeda or something, you figure they would dress him up like with a turret, you know what I mean? Like one of the Arabs that you see on exaggerated joints. But nah, he did it like that. So I was like, oh, so they really saying what? You trying to say that what, the Moors are blowing shit up? The Moors are blowing up the Family Guy?
Okay, yeah. Okay, now, Like, now, if you remember, they had said it was two brothers, two black guys, whatever. So when you're talking about that with that Moorish fez, that was the first implication. Then they switched it over to them boys from out of the Czech. So it still plant that seed, I believe, by, like you said, with the Moorish fez, it plant that seed because now the Moors is looking like the paper terrorists, and now that down in Memphis, they taking houses, they doing this. Now they finna go to this next extreme. And the Moors never had a history of being, as far as, violent towards, a government, towards the so-called U.S. government. They never had a history of that.
Never.
So They
trying to make it like that.
Right. Like they finna now become extremists or something because they can't play on that Arab game no more. And they can't really, and to my opinion, they can't really go with these white militias no more either, because most of them get tied into that. They tied into it themselves. They can't unravel it but so much, in my opinion.
Right.
When it comes to the white extremists, so now they saying, okay, since they going hard with this Moorish thing, let's try to just throw that out there subliminally to put it in people's heads. Just that fed itself, it's gonna make people say, okay, I know where the fed. That's them Moorish motherfuckers. Because they ain't gonna do it on the Freemason thing, but you can look at it on the flip side and say, hey, well, yeah, the Scottish Rite is behind this. As they
they're not gonna look at it like
people,
that.
As they talking to their own people in code words, like, well, we behind this, but we gonna flip it to the, the masses that don't know. The only people associated to these feds is these paper terrorist Moors, and now they finna step their game up one time.
That's right.
Because they said it was two black guys. And I said, what? I said, first of all, if they even talk about two black guys, when it comes to a marathon or race, that would be some Kenyans or something like that, and they ain't gonna blow up nothing because they win that shit easily. They
exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
And the Ethiopian won the race.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So when they gonna blow it up?
Damn race. Look at that.
Now,
also,
that
with the Russians. But wait, so with the Russian, it's still a Moorish connection because we know the old Moorish Empire was, just like I said, part of the old Golden Horde, which was the Mongol thing, taking us into Genghis Khan and them, right? But then also I see that the dude's name, right? One dude's name was Joe Carr, right? So I'm like, Joe Carr, why is that? I'm like, oh, Joker, because the was there. The families of the Sandy Hook people was there at the finish line. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
And remember, that was still connected to the whole Dark Knight Rises shit because we seen that in the shit with the
That's what they said, though. That picture of that boy is supposed to be that boy from Sandy Hook that they were showing at first. This white boy took me on to it last night at work. He said, look at this. And I didn't even know they took the dude's throat out. That's why they was talking about the Miranda rights. They didn't want them to be violated. So they was just writing down stuff when they asked them questions. This dude put me on to it. A little young white dude. He was like, come here, man. Let me ask you your opinion on it. So we going in on it. He was like, well, this is what I've been finding out, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, I got to take that home and check it out. But he put me on to it. They said that he allegedly was supposed to have been trying to commit suicide, so they had to do a emergency surgery on the boy. That's some crazy.
Yo, man.
Crazy.
Not only that, but wait. They had another part to it, though, because the Russian kid, okay, I saw the Joker shit, but then the other guy's last name was something with, but it was T.S., whatever his last name
like,
started. It was like Tsar. It was like Tsar, like a Tsar, like the Moors of Russia. They called them the Tsars. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what's going down, all while this North Korea shit is popping. Also, the time that shit happened with the Boston thing, that's when he signed in the agreement, the cyber agreement that allows Facebook and all Google and everybody else to send your information directly to the FBI and everybody else and all of the protection.
And into your job, into corporations,
into your job, corporations, everybody. So this is the merging. This is the merging of the United States. So this is them being able to take full control of their human capital because, like I said, none of the state governments is under oath no more based upon the abdication of the Queen in 2008. So all of these Moors taking houses and things that they're doing, they actually have the right to do it. However, look, man, if you're going to go get $1 million, $10 million crib, and then you only going to be in that yourself, like, that's greedy. That's slothful. Don't get that property and put it in your name. Put it in the name of the temple. Put it in the name of something that is already substantial in the world that the devil know that he can't get into. The prophet said, he said, put it in my name and you'll own it forever.
Right.
More told me.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Now, when I just moved to Tennessee from Atlanta. When I was down in Atlanta, they was going hard. I used to work for property preservation down in Atlanta. I used to tell people, hey, look, just go and talk to the bank, blah, 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 because that's what we used to do, maintain foreclosed houses for the this company called Safeguard Property. It was the biggest in the United States, them that fill assets. So anyway, this brother, they was those Israelite dudes, Gideon and them. I don't know if you're familiar with his crew, but they
I heard of them.
Okay, now the brother, he just won his case because they couldn't prove. Because first of all, the banks don't own the houses. If you're dealing with property preservation, you don't own them. They don't own them. That's why they give it to a preservation company. So
that's right.
This dude, when it took strip malls and all this down in Atlanta, and then they put him in jail, but he ended up getting out. But when he went to trial, even they went and got a brother to try to front like he was, taking money. The brother turned cold on him, everything. But it's on YouTube. You can go see it on there too. But the brother ended up winning. I had moved. I was there when it was going down, but it took like 2 years. But he walked away from it. So I was trying to explain to these other cats. I said that girl, she played it right and know what she's doing, and the people she's been dealing with coming stand on the square with her. She walking away in Memphis. Because the bank don't have no jurisdiction over those houses. They don't have no jurisdiction over nothing. The only people under any type of oath right now is the federal government. That's why the state government is trying to kill and lock up as many people as they can, regardless of how right you are or wrong you are. They're totally lawless. But that's not the problem, believe it or not. The problem is that we still cannot coalesce around a main central idea and functional and literally
use it as a functionary to get everybody right, meaning one Drake class action suit against these people for what they've been doing in terms of the Moorish Holocaust that technically started from 1492 and has really been going on in this country, both in England, parts of Africa, basically everybody that was a part of the empire prior to it being broken up to sign on to it as delegates. This shit could happen, but niggas can't do it because we got too many traitors. That's what's really going on, G. It's straight traitors. And it's the ones that's speaking the loudest. It's the ones that's speaking the loudest with the most guns and the most verbs. These is the ones that's the most in with the white man. Like I said, man, people don't got to believe me. But this nigga done sold Nation of Islam to the Church of Scientology. You understand?
Right.
This is real talk. You got people jumping out the nation now.
Yeah.
That's real.
And
ain't nobody forcing that nigga to do that.
And this week, and you can see the effects of Scientology on the cats in the Nation of Islam. Because I'm gonna tell you, I listened to Carbon Radio. They had Carbon Radio versus the Defenders of Farrakhan. These two, and there was this brother. He got I'm originally from Cleveland. And this brother, he's from Cleveland, and he was on there. He was dropping so many bombs on them, man. These two, and you know, back in the 90s, the brothers always the brothers in the Nation of Islam used to keep a cool head. Even if you hostile, they kept a cool head when they, dropping this dude was just like straight raw ghetto. I'm talking about this, but he was pelting. I'm telling you, when you get tired, go in their archives and listen to it. I will. Carbon Radio was, I told you, they get wild over there sometimes, but they gave you.
Oh, yeah, they was going ham on that nigga, but they was telling the truth, though.
They was coming right in exact only. They was pelting me. Yep. And these dudes couldn't do nothing but resort to emotional tactics because they know what them brothers was dropping on them was right and exact. But they under so much brainwashing, mind control. But they under so much mind control and so much. And the mind control that they have on them now is that of their Scientology. That's right. Scientology, and that was to lock them back in. That was to lock them back in because when the conscious level started rising among us as Moors and us as so-called black and stuff, started getting the other aspects of consciousness, the Nation of Islam was losing their grip. And people started reevaluating what Farrakhan was saying versus what Honorable Elijah Muhammad was saying. So what they started, people started going back to Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So that Scientology was another tool used to lock them back in to Farrakhan so he can continue doing what it is he do. And that's just guess what? But guess what? Farrakhan got nationalized as a Moor. That's the only reason why he ain't in jail. So why couldn't he? So why couldn't he? That's how he got that money. That's how he got that. He turned his back on the Moors. He turned his back on the Moors up in Chicago, who helped him do the paperwork, so he was able to go over there and get that money from Gaddafi and not be locked up. Thank you, Mo. And these niggas don't know that. They don't want to talk that. They don't want to tell that. And then they can't tell that. They can't tell that. They can't get into that because they. And remember, he's still Scottish Rite. He is the American version of Mandela. I went on Culture Freedom and I broke that down. And he bootleg. He became bootleg after the Million Man March. You know how I found that out? When I first moved to Atlanta. And this sister tried to sign me up for the NAACP. And she was like, I said, no, I don't join groups. I said, Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we don't supposed to join them groups, blah, blah, blah. I just saying that to spin her because she had that church, that Christian mentality too. So she was like, well, Farrakhan is a card-holding member of the NAACP. And I remember when he said, go home and join any groups. So when I started doing the knowledge to why he was saying join any groups and why not join the Nation of Islam and help with that 3-year economic phase, I started doing it. And then when I looked deep into the bootleg, you have to be a card-carrying member of the NAACP. You see that? And when he got the card there, so when that lady, this lady told me that I was working at Steak and Shake when I first got down there just to get a gig, to get on my feet, and she had came in there and tried to solicit. She said, well, Farrakhan's a member, and then when I started looking into what the Boule stood for, I said, okay, this is why he said join all these groups. Then right after that, that's when he brought Chavis Muhammad in. Chavis Muhammad is the head of the NAACP.
That's right. And you know, he just came out of jail for stealing that money from the NAACP.
Stealing that payola.
That's right.
And he made him. Now, Khalid over there crying was the loyal recruiter and really the voice of the Nation of Islam, and he going to bring this Boule, bourgeoisie, the one Khalid was bashing on, those cats like that.
Bashing on
put him, so that really was a slap in Khalid's face to even bring some Chavis Muhammad there and do that, but he had got down with the Boule, or he'd been down, and he had wanted to come full circle, and that's why when they had the State of the Union, why he always there. I watch all them cats. That State of the Union,
all them people under mind control. You know who be up in them meetings and all?
Exactly.
All of them is all under that mind control shit. But there's a whole backlash now of people that's leaving. Because right before Khalid died, he said, I'm a Moor. He said, and as a Moor, I know what I'm supposed to do. And he said it on Donahue. That's right.
In the
black bow tie. Being the Muslim.
He had on the Kente cloth suit.
He had on the Kente cloth joint, which was orange, would represent truth, and he had the black bow tie on. Well, I think he had a Kente cloth on too.
Yeah, he had a Kente cloth. Yeah, he was sitting there. He said, I'm a Moor. Right. On Donahue, because it was two parts. That was like in the 80s.
Yep.
And he was
remember, and Brother Khalid, unfortunately, pledged one of them Freemasonic orders, was it the Shrine of them, the Scottish Rite.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Well, yeah, he made that clear, though. I seen the lecture when he even said that.
Yeah, but that's why I respect him. But see, what I'm trying to say is that when he told them that was a code through the Prince Halls, the Boule, and the Scottish Rite that he has now jumped ship, and he's taking people with him back to the original nationality. But based upon the obligation, the oath, see what I'm saying? They could use that the same way they used with Malcolm, same way they did with him, because he already came in with them first. See, when Malcolm left the country, the reason why the CIA and them was following him was because he's listed as a slave. He's still a Negro and all of that. So when he had to go to where he was going to go to Mecca and all that, he had to have a chaperone. He had to have some sort of Boule or somebody around him that could vouch for him through his Freemasonic Prince Hall thing. But in that, that allowed the CIA, the foreign desk, to then watch him as their property. You see what I'm saying? So they had to inform on him because he was up under them based upon the obligation. But now that he figured it out, he now want to come back as an eel, right? El Harsh Eel, Malik El Shabazz Eel, right? But you done already. But at the same time, you're going to set up something called the Muslim. What was it called? The Muslim something Incorporated.
Muslim Mosque Incorporated.
Exactly. The Muslim Mosque Incorporated. How are you going to incorporate a mosque, G? You see what I'm saying with niggas? Like, this is what the Freemasonic things do. It make people think you could just do everything. You could be the king, you know what I mean, and the prince, and that at the same time. It don't work like that, G. Monarchy don't work like that. Government don't work like that. The Secretary of State only becomes the Secretary of Treasury in the event that something happened to the Secretary of State. Like, there's a protocol, nigga. These niggas is running it all together. That's what I think happened to Doc. I think Doc started to do so much with the knowledge and so many different personas, it started to drive them people crazy. Some of the people literally started to go crazy. And by the time he's about to return, he then told them, now all y'all be Christian. Like, some people went crazy. Like, people don't know. When this dude Farrakhan did that, you know how many Moors, Muslims, and Muslims that went to jail, that been killed, that been framed because they believed that the white man was the devil and they believe everything Elijah Muhammad and them talked to them. So can you imagine now these people? See, you got people in the Nation of Islam that's going back to the beginning. They're still alive now, and they hundreds still alive now. Now they get to see this nigga they get to see this nigga give the whole nation to these devils, to Aleister Crowley and them, to L. Ron Hubbard niggas.
Right.
Nigga, you lucky, man.
But see, you got to remember, okay, now when I say, because see, like I say, when I was introduced to that, I said, damn, I used to go to Muhammad Mosque 18. And I said, these dudes don't even talk like, this was in Cleveland. And I said, man, these dudes don't talk alike, because it was good that I was introduced to the literature by my father. So when I got there, I said, these dudes don't even talk like nothing in the damn book. So I had met a brother that was going to Muhammad, the true followers of the true followers of the Nation of Islam, by Elijah Muhammad.
The Lord of Foundation of Islam?
And they weren't lost found. They was just their own sect. Minister Tariq Muhammad, he set it up. And he was he was one of the disciples of Elijah Muhammad that was in Cleveland. And the dude was like, he said, man, you fiery and you on point, blah, blah, blah. He started short, so I started going to him. I said, now this is what I was looking for, but I still had an open mind. That's what allowed me to explore all other stuff, to make a long story short. But anyway, they had a DVD they showed, and they was showing, and the dude told me, he said, here's what Elijah really think about Farrakhan. And he said, Elijah Muhammad said that Farrakhan work will make Malcolm look like child's play. And now that I'm looking now, that's what he did. And I kept wondering, I said, well, here go a DVD here when he was telling them to follow Farrakhan and blah, 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 blah. Elijah said that at one of the Savior Days. He said, I'm going to tell you why he said that after you study it. So the brother told me, he said, Elijah Muhammad said, at the end, I won't have nothing but enough followers to fill up a taxi cab. So what he was doing was cleaning house. Take all these hypocrites, which that's what you had.
Take them all out, which that's when the whole shit started with Wallace.
So he was kicking the game. Elijah Muhammad was kicking the game. He said, I won't have it. Because he said, do not change not one atom of my teachings. He said, let them stand time. That's in the Theology of Time.
The Theology of Time, right? The Theology of Time. That's right.
And
some mosques won't even sell that.
They won't. That's right, because they don't want you to go in it. Now, when I was in Atlanta, I used to work at Georgia State University as well, and Dr. A. Familiar, may rest in peace.
Boule.
You know, he was Boule, but he used to work on the 5th floor. So me and the Moorish brother, me and him used to go down on Peach Street, you know, get books and stuff from Anthony
Browder.
He was not Anthony Browder. It was Anthony. He was a Nuwabian brother, but he had a store in the Metro Mall, and he sold books or everything. So we go down there in the Moorish brother, and we go get a message to the black man, and we go and grab up the Theology of Time. I had wanted to fill my library back up down in Atlanta. So we come back in the building, boom, get on the elevator. Here come Asa Hilliard, boom. So he like, what you two guys up? And my Moorish dude, he was a student there, and he always wore, Moorish was relevant, fez, stuff and everything. So like, what you brothers got in your hand? So we show him the books. He look at, he said, yeah, that's a good book right there, The Message to the Black Man. So I got the Theology of Time in my hand. We finna go to lunch and just go through it. He said, that's the one right there. He said, that's right there in your hand, that's the one. So he got to the 5th floor where he offered that, and he got out. He's like, you brothers, y'all got some power in y'all hands. Even so, when we go in the thing, I said, see that bootleg nigga? He know. Because he was part of ASCAP. I said, see him? He know. So my Moorish brother, he laughed like, yeah. He said, I said, see, he know about that theology. Because when you go in his office, he got pictures of him. So who's for everybody that was there. And before he went over to Africa, before he passed away, I helped him carry his stuff out into his car that took him to the airport. Yeah.
Oh, you played the pallbearer. You played his pallbearer. You was the pallbearer. You helped him move out.
Yeah, I did building services at Georgia State for 4 years while I got into property preservation. And, He always would chop it up.
You ushering the nigga out. Exactly, my dude.
I guess.
And that's what I'm saying, God. They symbolically, they just how it works. That's how the ancestors be doing shit. Just like you just said, like, yeah, he taking them all with you. That's right. He getting rid of all at once. And all of those real people in the Nation of Islam, who's ever out there listening, look, we ain't trying to shit on your teacher. We ain't trying to do none of that. But guess what? He didn't found the Nation of Islam, okay? And if we really want to keep it extra real, Elijah Muhammad, Elijah Poole Bey, let's keep it real. He ain't never tell you to integrate with nobody. He ain't never tell you that you needed to send your children to your school, to their schools. He ain't never tell you to vote. He ain't never tell you to vote or die. He ain't never tell you that, one way to support the nation is by, doing rap music or doing some type of jazz music and pay the nation money. He ain't never tell you none of that. He told you how to eat to live. He gave us a theology of time. He let us know who the devil was. He let us know why the devil was. So niggas can't say nothing. And what made him honorable, the elder blessed me with this, what made him honorable was that he kept his Masonic obligation. He did not go into it, but he let niggas know, look, there's only certain things I'm going to tell you about this shit, but to keep it real, you don't need to do none of that.
Right.
That's what the nigga said. That's what he said. And we got pictures of him with a fez on. So what you telling me? Like, how you gonna tell me? So what? He wearing the fez, but he wearing it like a Muslim? Like, come on, man. Muslims don't wear fezes. Muslims do.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Moors do.
And that's how the brother he was trying to defend it, talking about, well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said study everything, study this, blah 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 blah, but he didn't say submerge yourself and engulf yourself and participate into what you is studying. Just like how you,
that's
other
right.
brothers out here, y'all quote certain scholars like Elijah Muhammad said, don't spend your time pointing out who the white devil is and blah 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 blah.
That's right.
Because there will be some in the gates that will bring you back.
He said you'll miss the black ones.
Right.
He said you'll miss the black ones.
Oh yeah, because he said 7 times or 7 some times worse than the white one. Anyway,
right.
Some of that,
right.
some to that nature. I can't remember. Because that
was it.
Right. I know it was something like that. And so he said they'll even be worse. So that's what we're dealing with at this day and time. Oh, but here's where I want to build with you before you go. Because that dude, Tommy Sotomayor.
Yep.
That cat.
Yep.
I understand where he coming from. And that's just what
that cat
about with a black devil. When he love to go in on our sister.
Black woman. Yeah, he going in on the
black woman. So he go in so hard. So one of my sisters came to me on the gig, like, why you post that up there? I said, I want you to see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
She said, well, I was going to make a comment, but I be, dropping heavy. She said, I ain't want to start nothing with you. I said, you can say what you want. You ain't going to start that. I said, but I want you to understand. What he's saying is true. But here's the overstanding to that. I said, that's a product that was created by who he loves. And his duty, I said, first of all, you are fallen humanity. If that's what
right.
the so-called enemy reduced you to, while he's pointing that out, it's his job to redeem you from that.
That's right.
So what he's doing is participating in this new campaign of eugenics. He said, well,
yes.
I gave her the old eugenics. People don't know the new eugenics is to attack the black woman and then also to give the black man an excuse to be with the beast. You see what I'm saying? Because he's so fed up with her. But at the same time, it allows that Caucasoid now to move in with the Monster Ball game on the to now go in and create this new mixed breed race of
new
people.
Type of mulatto. This new type of
mulatto. And these now are being perpetuated over the YouTube, the Facebook, and what have you, to go in hard on this black woman. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said,
the preacher from the Black Lagoon.
He said, they will send their women on to you. So that's breaking down us. But
I think you're right.
He will stick his people. He will stick his on your women because that's where the real feed at. You see what I'm saying?
And to add to that, I think that, like you said, what he said, a lot of what he said is true. Yet, when you always present it from that perspective, and you're not providing, well, that's not true. He provides the forum, but what he do is he provides the forum for already broke women. So women that go on there and mess with him are already broken down, and they're perpetuating what he's talking about. So there's a part of them that will prove him wrong. So they invest in him, and he basically breaks them down. And as he starts breaking them down, instead of them understanding what he's saying is not necessarily coming off with love. It's coming off with a total disgust and disdain, which a lot of the shit
because of his own personal issues. Because of his own,
a lot of what he's saying in terms of the disgust is true, but the problem, like I'm saying, is you're not providing no balance. You're not providing no remedy. You're not providing no solution. You just constantly shitting on these black women, and no doubt they've been duped. They've been functioning in this white man's society since the days of Claudine, since black feminism and that shit, and they're now starting to realize that they're insane. They are realizing that they have been turned insane. And go ahead.
Yeah, and they trying to come out of it. And see, that's what I'm saying, because I done went through his whole catalog. Because everybody keeps, my friends, people, they like, we want you to bomb on him. I said, well, I'm going to let him, go on. I said, I really ain't going to bomb on him because really I don't need to bomb on him because I understand it. I'm going to just break it down for you guys to understand it, and that way you ain't even got to fuck with nobody like him.
That's right.
Because it become a form of entertainment to you, and it ain't doing nothing with your, all it's doing is messing with your emotions and causing you to be stressed out, which now going to go on to other health issues, and it's going to create social issues with a real brother that might come your way and try to holler at you. You got all these equal sympathies based off of what this dude done said to you, because whether you take it personal or not, it's into your subconscious mind. And the first time somebody does something, you see what I'm saying? But see, he came out and said when he grew up, black women wouldn't talk to him, blah, blah, blah. That's that same old what you call excuse that us brothers use back in the day.
That same shit, that consequence. That nigga who's on the Love and Hip Hop show married to the white Jewish girl who said that she can get her money because she always a white girl. And then he made the rap talking about, yeah, you white girl, you and your light-skinned friend, y'all could win. He's a self-hating nigga. Oh, thank you very much. And he's a self-hating nigga who perpetuated that.
Right, and this is where he come in at. And then Tariq Nasheed and him got together and tag team on the same thing. And I'm like, this brother here, you could tell he got issues too, because this whole thing, let me tell you how to this. Bruh, you got it mixed up and twisted up. That's all that come from, like I told the sister, I said, you know what? All that come from the hatred for their mama. And then this other dude smoked this cigar. I put him up. He go in real hard, just like all them. All them dudes that talk that shit, they hate their mother. And they call us simps. They talking about, well, y'all talking this black guy's black queen. And then I just had seen a lecture, and they was talking about, so I put that up for them as a warning. I said, I'm going to put this up. And it talked about the sister said, that she was a black queen in Africa that took on the whole slave trade against the Arabs. And the dude, she said, it was some other king wanted to marry her. She said, I can't marry you until I finish this man's job. And she stopped the whole slave trade all the way up to India. Dr. John Henry Clark was dropping the signs on it. And I'm like, damn, here goes something just pop right up at me on what I was, trying to come in at. So I put it up like, okay, now check this out. So anyway, make a long story short, she said after she stopped the slave trade, she went back to the guy and said, now I can marry you. And they end up getting married and moving to a place called Jos, Nigeria, and live their life out and put the slave trade to a halt. You see what I'm saying?
Yo, Jay, if you could send me that link, man. If you can, send me that link.
Yeah, it's on my it's on my it's on my Facebook page. Yeah. So he went into the little story and broke it down. So I'm saying this is the original first so-called Harriet Tubman that they talked about. You know what I'm saying? This sister put the whole damn slave trade to the halt. So this, once again, a black queen doing her damn thing, and you still crying, talking about, oh, the black woman this and the black woman that, blah, blah, blah. You helping the eugenics movement, and you also still perpetuate a form of white supremacy. All because of your...
We got a lot of work to do, man.
Because of your shortcomings, because somebody didn't teach you how to talk to women, or because somebody didn't teach you to love yourself. And I understand you from the South. Back in the day, they always, put the darker brother down. I went to that because my mother was from the South, and she used to be color-struck. I stopped my mother from being color-struck with my niece. And then my mother was like, I didn't even, but she didn't know. You see what I'm saying? She didn't do it intentionally. She just didn't know. You see what I'm saying? Because
I'm sorry, G. We just ran up to we passed time and shit. I'm sorry, G.
Oh my God.
Well, it's all good. We going in. It's how it is, man. I appreciate the input and thank you for the call, man, and the insight.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you all the time. I make
sure I listen that and bringing that to the family's attention, because we all need to help big up these women as much as we can. We know that a lot of them are crazy, but not all of them is.
Yeah, and they was made that way, and that's falling.
That's right.
The only reason they
realize
they was able to be made.
That's it.
Only reason they was able to be made that way because somebody was derelict of duty, and that's the Asiatic black man, and the Asiatic black man or black Moor, whatever, they don't want to, acknowledge they want to go.
They don't want to step up. They don't want to do it. So until then, we're gonna have to do what we do, man. Love and light to you, brother, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Love and light to you, too, man. I'll get all that to you, both of them links. I got something else to get to you.
I appreciate that, Mo.
Thank you, man.
Be safe.
All right.
So thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, we went a little over. We didn't intend to, but sometimes the spirit be moving. We want to say we love the original black man. We love the original Asiatic black man, the original Asiatic black woman, the original Asiatic black child. When we say black, we don't mean black like that. We mean black as in triple stage darkness. So with that, we want to always put it out there. Anybody wants to holler at us about the classes we got coming up this week on Wednesday, please email me at houseofel@hotmail.com. For anybody that wants to check out some of our products as well, dealing with knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, freedom, power, refinement, equality, God, build and destroy. Born Cipher, you can go check out www.aseertheduketeers.com. Also, you can check out www.darkskull418.com. That's the comic book, world's most dangerous comic book novel. Please check out, go to iTunes, check out Team Cordoba, Cordoba. We did a soundtrack to the album, to the book, called the Soundtrack Mixtape Album CD. And again, please support each other, love each other, hold each other down, and let's stay as consistent as we can, because it's really only us. We all we got, as they say. So again, also check out www.cookingmorewithless.com. And if anybody would like to make a donation to Super Heru Radio, as well as for the works that we're doing, you can do so at Duke, through PayPal at dukeoftears@gmail.com. Or if people don't have that and want to send it through a money order or something like that, please email me at houseofel@hotmail.com, and we'll get that out to you. So as we go on, we're going to close with the Moorish prayer. Our Moorish prayer that says, Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. And again, thanks to all of the Moors. We come from a beautiful and glorious culture. And let's celebrate that every chance we get.